In St. Augustine and St. Johns County, demonstrators have viewed 2020 as the year to demand racial justice. In a community that embraces its history, another chapter is being written. In the weeks since George Floyd has died, more than a half dozen protests have taken place in St. Augustine and throughout St. Johns County.
Here's why it's an American problem. It's because I'm not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm not going anywhere. So we might as well learn how to make it work down here, because as Martin Luther King said, we will learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools.
This summer was not the first time demonstrations were held near the shores of Florida's historic coast. It has echoes of the summer of 1964, during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. St. Augustine played a central role.
St. Augustine has had its share of conflicts. In the summer of 1963, sit-in demonstrations and shooting incidents between white and Negro youths caused considerable tension in the city. In December 1963, a St. Johns County grand jury deplored the racial unrest in the county, which included a fatal shooting, beatings, rock throwing, and slashing of car tires, and blamed the violence on militant Negro leaders and the Ku Klux Klan.
In 1963 and 1964, scores of people, both integrationists and segregationists, were arrested for demonstrating in St. Augustine.
In order to demonstrate our good faith and reveal that we are not seeking to wreck St. Augustine, as some have mistakenly believed, we have further agreed to call off demonstrations while the committee seeks to work out a settlement. This does not mean that the staff of SCLC will leave St. Augustine, nor does it mean that I, as president of SCLC, will disassociate myself with this community.
My mother was full Indian! Oh! You killed my people!
Well, I told you welcome. You start to get contradictory, you're out to the sidewalk. You understand? Y'all understand? Yes, sir.
Wow. But it's not about what's going on in St. Augustine. Right. It's not about what's going on in Jacksonville. It's not even about what's going on in Minnesota. It's about what's going on throughout the nation. It's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to stand up for those who don't have a voice, to stand up for those who need somebody to protect them. Then they feel voiceless. It's our job.
Jamie Perkins is a St. Augustine native who ran for the state legislature in 2018. She has challenged the city of St. Augustine to take a series of steps to be more inclusive toward its black residents and people of color. She is also one of the people who signed onto a list of demands, including an effort to remove the Confederate War Memorial in the heart of downtown St. Augustine. The campaign to remove the memorial has been fought for years.
You don't like the past? The past is 100, 200 years ago. That was a long time ago. This is not the answer. Tearing down statues is not the answer.
We're not talking about black babies today. We're talking about a monument. You want to talk about education? Flip around, baby. I am the descendants of a Revolutionary War soldiers, Confederate soldiers, descendant of Negro slaves. My husband's in law enforcement. I am the mother of 2 black children. So for you to come here and talk about another issue, that's not what we're here for today.
It is so fragile. You have to stand next to a man bigger than you to feel like you're bigger.
On June 22nd, the St. Augustine City Commission voted 3-2 to remove the Confederate War Memorial from downtown. More than 140 years after it was placed on public property, the obelisk will soon be removed. St. Augustine Mayor Tracy Upchurch is one of 3 who voted for the removal.
USA! USA! USA!
For us to move forward, for us to live up to our values, which we have declared as a community, that we need to move that from quite literally the heart of our community.
In the time since George Floyd was killed on Memorial Day in Minneapolis, cities across America have been forced to reckon with protesters who demand equity, equality, and accountability from its law enforcement and government. Reporting for the St. Augustine Record, I'm Will Brown.